The Luzon Strait, situated between the northern Philippines and Taiwan, has become one of the most strategically significant waterways in the Indo-Pacific. Recently, the armed forces of the Philippines, in coordination with the United States military, have taken a bold step by establishing a new military base in this critical choke point. This move signals not just a strengthening of the U.S. Philippines alliance, but also a direct challenge to China's growing presence in the South China Sea and its expanding influence in the Taiwan Strait. The Luzon Strait is a vital maritime corridor that links the South China Sea with the Pacific Ocean. It is used by both commercial vessels and military warships, making it a hotspot for strategic competition. Control over this strait could determine the outcome of any future conflict involving Taiwan or disputes in the South China Sea. For the Philippines, hosting a U.S.-backed base here enhances its defensive capabilities and provides reassurance in the face of Chinese assertiveness. The establishment of this new base is part of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, which allows U.S. forces rotational access to select Philippine facilities. This partnership is designed to modernize the AFP, boost joint training, and improve interoperability between the two militaries. With Washington shifting its focus toward deterring Beijing, the Luzon Strait base gives the U.S. military a forward operating location close to both Taiwan and disputed waters. For Beijing, this development is seen as a direct provocation. China has long sought to expand its control across the South China Sea, including areas within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. By placing a base in the Luzon Strait, the U.S. and the Philippines are effectively countering Chinese attempts to dominate regional sea lanes. This move not only strengthens deterrence, but also complicates China's military planning in case of a Taiwan-related crisis. This week, the armed forces of the Philippines inaugurated a new military base in the Luzon Strait, a strategic area located 120 miles south of Taiwan. The outpost, named Mahatao Forward Operating Base, was commissioned by the Northern Luzon Command on Bataan Island, in the province of Batanes, the northernmost point of the country. According to an official statement, the Mahatao FOB will serve as a platform for territorial defense, maritime domain awareness, and humanitarian assistance and disaster response operations. Its location highlights the strategic importance of Batanes as the nation's northernmost frontier. The new site is, to date, the largest military infrastructure developed in Batanes by the armed forces of the Philippines. It was defined by the Northern Luzon Command as a gateway for defense and disaster relief in the region. Marine infantry units, previously stationed in the south of the country, were deployed across different points in Batanes to carry out maritime surveillance functions. Among them is an outpost on Mavolis Island, located just 88 miles from Taiwan's southern coast. In parallel, China has increased its naval presence in the first island chain, deploying Coast Guard vessels and aircraft carrier strike groups through this strategic passage, which has raised concern in Manila. In April, the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, General Romeo Brawner, urged troops stationed in the area to plan actions in case there is an invasion of Taiwan. On that same occasion, he warned that the Philippines would inevitably be drawn into a conflict between China and Taiwan. President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos reinforced this stance by stating that the war over Taiwan will drag the Philippines, even by force, into the conflict due to the country's geographic proximity to the disputed area. Among Manila's main concerns in a war scenario is the repatriation of nearly 200,000 Filipinos residing in Taiwan, an operation that would be led by the Armed Forces of the Philippines, according to statements from Brawner. Tensions between the Philippines and China have intensified with the deployment of ships and aircraft from both countries in disputed waters of the South China Sea. In this context, Manila has strengthened its military cooperation with allies and strategic partners. In August, the Philippines and India conducted their first combined maritime exercises in Philippine waters, with the participation of the Indian destroyers INS Delhi, INS Kolkata, and the replenishment ship INS Shakti, alongside the Philippine frigates BRP Jose Rizal and BRP Miguel Malvar. During the drills, interoperability operations, coordinated patrols, and real-time communication exercises were carried out. General Bronner reported that the participating units were followed by unidentified vessels, presumably Chinese, reflecting a pattern of constant monitoring by Beijing. At the same time, the People's Liberation Army Navy conducted patrols and exercises in the South China Sea simultaneous to the Indo-Philippine activities. It also increased its presence at Scarborough Shoal, reinforcing its claims over disputed territories. On another front of cooperation, the Philippines and Australia launched Exercise Elan 2025, considered the largest Australian military deployment in the region. More than 3,600 troops took part in combat operations, tactical maneuvers, and amphibious exercises in Palawan and Luzon. Australia deployed land, naval, and air assets, including the destroyer HMAS Brisbane, FA-18F Super Hornet strike fighters, EA-18G Growler electronic warfare aircraft, and C-17A Globemaster III strategic transport aircraft. On the Philippine side, Army, Air Force, and Navy units participated, including FA-50PH Fighting Eagle aircraft and S-70 Aku-I Black Hawk helicopters. The Philippines' allies, mainly the United States and Australia, have intensified joint military exercises in the Northern Islands in recent years. The training includes maritime security operations, deployments of anti-ship missiles, and advanced artillery systems such as U.S. high-mobility artillery rocket systems and mid-range capability launchers. China has repeatedly criticized these deployments, claiming they undermine regional stability. The Chinese Ministry of Defense maintains that the maneuvers and foreign military presence in the area disrupt peace and security in the South China Sea. The installation of this new base raises tensions, but also reinforces the Philippines' role as a key U.S. ally in the Indo-Pacific. It signals that Manila is no longer hesitant to assert its rights under international law, especially after repeated confrontations with Chinese Coast Guard and militia vessels. For other Southeast Asian nations, this step demonstrates that strategic partnerships can balance Beijing's influence and protect freedom of navigation. The U.S. and Philippine decision to set up a military base in the Luzon Strait is more than just a bilateral defense arrangement. It is a clear message to China. The Indo-Pacific is entering a new era of strategic competition, and the Philippines now sits at the center of this geopolitical struggle. The coming years will determine whether this move will deter aggression or escalate tensions further.